Hello, I'm Chris, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL, thank you for joining me. I've recently done a video about 10 designer fragrances that I could never sell because they're just too good. Well, here are the niche. I've done videos in the past about 10 fragrances to keep for life, both designer and niche editions, and all the usual suspects tend to be in those videos. There's a few of the usual suspects in this, but I've tried to find fragrances that perhaps haven't featured in those videos before, but these are still fragrances in my collection that I would never want to sell because they're just too good. Here they are. If you like sweet, addictive type of fragrances that have huge performance, then you got to try the Chronic from Byron Parfums. Think of a gorgeously indulgent, creamy Irish coffee, and then add a few white florals. The Irish coffee thing is actually something that the brand say, and I read that and I thought, yeah, that really sums up this scent perfectly, because I've always found it a difficult scent to talk about because the notes that are involved in this don't really show themselves. It is white floral in the heart, there are some white florals that come through, but never in a way that it leans feminine at all. In fact, if anything, it probably leans a little bit more masculine. Very sweet, very warming, very spicy, very creamy, quite a heavy, dense fragrance, and perhaps I'm not always in the mood for that, and there are certain situations like, you know, maybe the gym where you wouldn't want to wear a fragrance like this, but there are many situations where this scent is so good. Nights out, date nights, events, formal occasions, all that good stuff. This is a fragrance that's on another level. It's that good, I will always want this bottle in my collection. You'll notice a lot of the fragrances that I never want to sell are ones that I have a bit of a connection to. Yes, they smell amazing, but there's also something that's happened in my life that has made me love these fragrances even more. That is definitely the case for this one. From Initio, it's Oud for greatness. There's some spices, some saffron, a little bit of oud, and it's definitely great. What's interesting to me about this fragrance, it's got all those things, but there's also a little bit of an old school cologne type of smell just kicking around there in the background. It's not a massively prominent part of the fragrance, but it's just there, and all these other things are layered on top of it. And I think it's just a really well constructed scent. I first smelled this in New York when I was with Demi Rawling. She was wearing it and it smelled amazing. I loved that trip, so I've got some very fond memories. But also, this is one of the very few fragrances my wife's ever given me a compliment on. She's not that into fragrances and she thinks all this YouTube fragrance stuff is probably a load of nonsense. But I wore this fragrance one day. I remember we were on a train, I think we were going on a trip to Liverpool. She said to me in the hotel room at the end of the day, "Whatever fragrance you've been wearing today, that is one of my favorites. It is a beautiful scent. You can wear it again." So I took that advice. I have worn it again, time and time again, so much so that I never want to sell it. This is an incredible fragrance. Another one that I have great associations with is the first time I ever met Terence Hughes. Before we'd filmed any videos, he came to meet me, and this was one of the first fragrances I ever smelled, Tabac. This is such a nice woody tobacco fragrance. It really, really scratches that tobacco itch for me. I'd smelled this before I actually met Aaron. He sent me his fragrances to try, and this one stood out for me because it's just right up my street. You know, I love tobacco in fragrances. And when we did meet for the first time to shoot a couple of videos that became quite popular on YouTube, didn't know it at the time, but they certainly did. On that day, I was wearing this fragrance. It's one of the best tobacco fragrances that I own. It seems to be done in a different way to other tobaccos. A lot of them have that tobacco vanille kind of vibe. This definitely doesn't. This is just quite an intense woody tobacco scent. If you like tobacco, give this one a try, and I'm pretty sure that once you've got it, you'll never want to sell it. Just to prove how much I love tobacco, this next one is also a tobacco fragrance. It's also got Tabac in the name, but this time it's got leather in front of it, from Zaharoff Leather Tabac. Like the original Tabac, you've got that lovely combination of tobacco and vanilla combined with that signature Zaharoff smell. But then of course, you've got some added leather, which gives this amazing, robust quality to the scent. It's a little animalic as well, like it kind of smells a little bit of animals. My association with this fragrance though is because it's so strong, I picked this as a scent that I wanted to start wearing for the first time and associate with this trip of a lifetime I took my family to Lapland. So we're out there, we're in the North Pole, we're in the snow, and this fragrance is the one I wore for the 2 or 3 days we were there. Whenever I wear it now, I always think back of a really special time in my life. And actually I was just thinking when I was preparing this video, because of the slightly leathery animalic smell, it just ties in with that trip so perfectly, because we saw reindeer, we smelled the reindeer and they smelled animalic. We had husky dogs pulling us on sleds and they smelled animalic. So we've got these animal smells in the snow. I'm wearing this fragrance. It's strong, it makes a statement. It's not a smooth, easy wear. You've got to be in the right mood. But when I am in that right mood, this just hits the spot for me. And of course, because of the lovely associations I have with this, it's like having a video or photos of that trip. I wear this fragrance and whisked right back there. So obviously, I'm never going to sell it. You know those times when you want to throw on a fragrance that just awakens your inner Adonis? Well, I have that quite often, and when I do, I have to choose from Argos Fragrances Adonis Awakens. Yes, I spray this on and I feel like an Adonis, a bronzed Adonis with rippling muscles, and I smell amazing to every... Well, I mean, it smells good. Okay, so no fragrance is going to turn you into an Adonis, but it gets you closer than it would if you weren't wearing this fragrance. As with all Argos fragrances, the quality is fantastic. This is a super strong, pretty close to beast mode fragrance. It's got this amazing peppery quality to it, which gives it this very energetic, fiery pop in the opening. There's some rose, so it's got the classy elegance of rose. There's some creamy sandalwood. It's great perfumery. It's right up my street. This is a statement-making scent for me. I don't wear this every day, it's not a dumb reach, but when I'm in the mood for this, for the right occasion, this one hits the spot. Oh, and just to let you know that because I only like to have fragrances on my website that I think are the best, I've got Argos fragrances on the site. So if you're in the UK and you want to pick this one up, my website does sell it exclusively. So if you fancy trying Adonis Awakens or anything else from Argos, I will leave the website in the description. If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store, luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands, plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description. I discovered this next fragrance when I was in Milan. I just met Roja Dove himself. He invited me to interview him, so I did a couple of videos, and he very kindly gave me a few of the little 10ml sample bottles. The first one of those that I tried was Danger, and since then, I just fell in love with it. As you can see, this is the Parfum Cologne version. It does smell very similar to the Parfum version, but it's just a little lighter and airier, and I think a bit spicier. I remember on a night out in Milan, I wore this. I was in a lift with somebody who knew me, it wasn't a stranger, and they turned to me and said, "Chris, you're really rocking that Danger tonight." How cool would that have been if it was a stranger? If a stranger that I'd never set eyes on or spoken to before just turned to me and said, "Chris, you're really rocking that Danger." That would have been cool. But anyway, that didn't happen, but it was still a good moment. I actually think this is a superb night out fragrance. It's got a little bit of a classic style to it with a lot of modern notes in there as well. The balance is just great. Obviously, we get the quality from Roja. This fragrance will never be in danger of getting sold. My association with the next scent is before I even started my YouTube channel, I was watching Redolescence and Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, rest in peace, talk about this scent, and they got me really interested. And they got me really interested in this whole brand, actually. It's Nasomatto and the fragrance is Duro. I remember them talking about this, saying this was an incredible fragrance, but one that you could only wear on certain occasions. It was strong, it was a little bit divisive. So rather than just outright blind buying a bottle of this, I actually got Perfume Parlor's version first. I thought it was stunning. So based on the strength of that, I thought I've got to have the original because, I mean, the Nasomatto bottle's right. By the way, if you wanted to do what I did, check out Perfume Parlor's version first. You will find the link to Perfume Parlor in the description. This has a very dry, spicy woodiness. It's not a boozy fragrance, but it does remind me a little bit of a very peaty whiskey. It's a showstopper. This is a formal occasion fragrance. This is when I'm dressed up, sharp, I'm going to an event maybe, I want to make a statement. Duro will do it. Can't sell it, ever. I first smelled this fragrance when I just started my YouTube channel. I was actually reviewing the Perfume Parlor version and comparing it to the Creed version. I fell in love with it and I've loved it ever since. I think this is probably still my favorite Creed fragrance. Viking. Peppery, spicy, roses, patchouli, and some peppermint. This is incredible perfumery. I feel a little bit sorry for my beloved Viking because I don't think it got the love it deserved when it was released. It was Creed's release that came after AVENTUS, so it had the weight of this anticipation behind it. After the hype of AVENTUS, people were expecting something that was as game-changingly iconic and different, and whilst it might not be quite those things, it didn't change the game maybe like AVENTUS did. It gets a little bit overlooked because this is a beautiful fragrance. So easy to wear, so refreshing, so crisp, so versatile. I can wear it any time of year. It always smells classy. Love the invigorating mint that it has. Look, I know Creed isn't everyone's favorite brand at the moment. The prices are a little on the high side, but nevertheless, take all that away, Viking is a stunning fragrance. The last two fragrances are tobacco, and I couldn't decide which one to put at the top, but I guess this list is in no particular order anyway, so it didn't really matter. One of the best tobacco fragrances ever made. I know I say that about all of my favourite tobacco fragrances, but it definitely is. From Parfums de Marly, it's Herod. Tobacco, vanilla, osmanthus, incense, smells a little bit fruity, very woody, and a little bit creamy. Go-to autumn winter fragrance. I've worn this in the cooler months in a nice woolen jumper or sweater, as you people in America like to call them. And when you're dressed up warm and you're feeling a bit cozy, perhaps you're going to an event, then Herod is gonna kill. Not babies like in the Bible. It's gonna make people love it. All the thickness, all the depth, all the density, all the quality of Parfums de Marly. Some people say that their formulations of Herod don't perform very well, more recent formulations. This one's maybe 4 years old, and for me, this performs great. This lasts and lasts. If I've sprayed it on clothes, I can smell it on those clothes for a long time after. If I've been wearing a jacket and worn this, it's weeks, and Herod is still there. And even if I just spray it on skin, I get good performance. So maybe I'm just lucky that I've got skin that works well with this. But if you love tobacco, if you love vanilla, if you love luxurious smelling fragrances and you want something for the cooler months, Herod is one to get. So good, I can never sell. The tobacco fragrance I'm finishing off with is more versatile than Herod. I could wear this all year round because it's got some more aromatic, fresher components. This is the stunning Naxos from Xerjoff. Probably the quintessential honeyed tobacco fragrance. But the great thing about this is the lavender. It's got this lovely aromatic lavender which lifts everything and creates this fantastic versatility. Don't get me wrong, this is a scent that works perfectly in autumn and winter. It's that strong, it's got a sweetness that really cuts through the air, but because it's not a really heavy scent, it doesn't sit heavy, it's quite airy. It's got this aromatic quality, I think probably coming from the lavender, and because of that, I could wear this all year round. No problem wearing this in the summer, especially a summer's evening. Naxos would be perfect. It's luxurious, it's satisfying, it's classy, it's sophisticated, it's opulent, it's got great performance, it's a really strong fragrance. People around you are going to smell it. People will probably really like this, but never mind all those people around you. It's you that is the important one. And for me, I spray this on, feel like $1 million. I know I might not look like it, all right, but if it makes me feel that way, then just let me have that. Anyway, Naxos, stunning, 10 out of 10 fragrance, always going to be in my collection, no brainer. All right, that's my list. Some you might have expected, some you might not have expected. I hope you enjoyed seeing my selections. Do you agree with these? Do you disagree? If you disagree, tell me what fragrances I should have included in this list. But these are my choices. This is how I feel. This is honest. These are all associated with me in my life, with significant events and times in my life. So that has influenced some of these choices. If you've got fragrances like that, I'd love to hear what they are. Hope you liked this video. Hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do all that, you'll see me in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.